First, we do want to welcome in Brett Goode into the program, part of the team at the Henderson Phillips Employer Solutions. Brett, want to we'll touch on this and we'll get the draft. You were not under the Mark Emmert umbrella just based on his time with the NCAA. You've participated in collegiate athletics. How important do you think his job is, and what would you change in the next leadership role who assumes that position moving forward?
Well, I've got kind of a personal situation. Whenever I was playing, we actually went to a friend's house and, we rode jet skis and we had one dinner and we actually went under investigation because it was supposedly taking money from a booster. And they spent a 6-month-long investigation on it. It was all hidden and protected, but nothing came of it because we weren't doing anything wrong. I think there's a lot of wasted money that goes on, and I think that's why that you have a lot of people like Clay was talking about that they want to have, the conferences kind of control these things, because I think the conferences moving forward are trying to separate themselves and really trying to make more money. The SEC is leading that charge, being $1 billion conference, and they're trying to just grow from there.
That's curious. So I saw that they've been critical. Like there's been examples of, well, this guy got an extra waffle or pancake, or this guy maybe got $100 or something. It just, based on your personal experience, as you just said, why would they spend so much time and money for things that don't seem to be that big of a deal?
Well, it's not that big of a deal to us, and I was caught off guard by the whole thing because you're not trying to do anything dumb or stupid or illegal, but there are rules written, and there's a lot of gray area of the rules, and with the NIL, it's changed a lot, and I think it's better for the game and these guys moving forward that they're not going to have to go through these little bitty things. The guy that we ended up going with, we didn't know he's considered a booster because he had just bought season tickets, and we didn't know what was going on, but they got a wind of it, and then they investigated, and they wasted a lot of money, and that's just one of many trying to keep up with compliance. And I think if you kind of mitigate everything out to the conferences and let them control and run their own conference, I think you're going to run more smoothly.
Talking with Brett Goode now this morning. Brett, let's change the conversation to tomorrow night and this weekend. We're going to get Clay's take about some guys, not just that played at Arkansas, but in the SEC and others. Who do you like in this draft tomorrow night, maybe that stands out more than some of the other high-caliber players?
Well, being a Packer fan, I'm excited because, you and I texted, and I had a lot of people text me that talking about Treylon going to the Packers, and that Aaron really liked him, and I've heard rumors from other people that Aaron is in his boat there, and so you want to see a guy like him be successful, and I think he's going to have the most opportunity to go to a quarterback like Aaron, and we know Aaron's not going to be there forever, but it's a great organization. There's rumors that the Packers are going to draft up, maybe trade with the Chargers at 17 to bump in there out of their 22nd spot, so it'll be interesting. I know, Jacksonville and Detroit starting it off, they've been up there for a long time, and they keep drafting up top, so who really knows what's going there? I think Walker will probably be the first one, and then, there's a lot of trades that are going to happen throughout the draft. I mean, even Waller with the tight end for the Raiders, there's talks of him going to the Packers. So if there is a trade there, does that change Burks? And it does. Then you've got Baker Mayfield there with Cleveland, and does he have any trade stock for any team right now? And so things move. We'll see kind of as it gets going. It's always the first 5 picks. There's a lot of moving parts, and then after that, people start trying to draft their highest on the board, whoever's highest, and they start trying to make moves. And you're going to see, like, the Giants at 5. They've got a good team, and they really need to beef up that offensive line. So you probably see them in Carolina try and beat that up so that they can really get in the mix. Seattle's in a rebuild year. Washington, Minnesota's they just traded a wide receiver, or there's rumors of it. I don't know if it's official yet. So you're really going to see a lot of teams trying to make some moves because everybody's trying to make a push for the playoffs and trying to get another Super Bowl, especially with the older quarterbacks. You're trying to get there one more time before that person decides to retire.
I love the inside scoop that you just gave about the Packers and Treylon Burks. I would hope that could actually come to fruition tomorrow night, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, Traylon is going to be at home with his family. He's got it's his grandma or his great-grandma. I'm forgetting which one. Clay, you might have that intel, but
no, I'm not sure which one.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's going to be home. That's one of the reasons he's not going to Las Vegas, because he wants to be at home watching the family. That's not a surprise for the people that know or have heard about Traylon. He's more of a low-key guy. What kind of experience is that like, Brett, from the guys that you've talked to, the debate of staying at home, watching with your family, or experiencing Vegas, wherever the destination is? How do people go back and forth on making that decision, you think?
Well, it's really hard. I mean, we've seen that over the years, Aaron, Geno Smith, all those guys having to wait in the green room forever and wait on their name to finally be called. And it feels miserable for them. You don't know that personally. And for these guys to want to spend it with their family and friends, like, why would you not? This is a special moment. This is a life-changing moment for a lot of guys, and it's a great opportunity. And you want to spend that around loved ones and your support crew, because that's the crew that's going to be with you, because there's going to be lots of ups and downs. Some guys are going to get cut for the guys later in the draft, and they've got to be able to, lean on that family to kind of keep them going and keep their head in the right place, make the right decisions so that they can land on a team and make a spot. So I love the guys being able to go do that. And go out there and just spend that time with their family, because it's truly a special and life-changing moment for them.
So you just laid out a scenario or two where the Packers could draft Traylon Burks, and Aaron Rodgers liking him. That always, I think, helps, especially in kind of the situation they dealt with in the offseason. So what is your gut feeling tomorrow night? Is your gut feeling that for the first time since I think Rodgers has been QB, do they get him a wide receiver in the first round? Do they get Traylon Burks tomorrow night?
I think if Waller and Deebo Samuels are not available and some massive trade doesn't happen, I think that and Burks is available, I think they make a move. I think that they definitely need that position. They love that big body. They love his hands, his size. He's able to run. He's a great kid. And we lost a great receiver to the Raiders in Devontae, and so they've got to replace that. And we lost another receiver to the Kansas City Chiefs. So they've got to find somebody, some weapon that they can get, that Aaron can get the ball to and kind of just divvy it out there to everybody. And I think this is a great opportunity. Very few times can you get later in the draft and get a wide receiver at that caliber. And so I think that it's very likelihood of that happening if those two guys aren't available for trade.
So the three biggest teams kind of relative to this market would be the Kansas City Chiefs, the Dallas Cowboys, and for our personal, and because you played for them and I grew up as a fan, the Packers. And you kind of laid out the scenario with the Packers. If you're Traylon Burks, though, and you're down to those three teams, what do you think is the best fit for him? Is it Dak, Jerry, and the Cowboys? Is it Patrick, Clark Hunt, and the Chiefs? Or is it up in Green Bay and Lambeau? I know you got the personal side of things with the Pack, but, bro, what do you think would be the best fit, assuming those would actually be in play tomorrow night?
Well, of those three teams, I think the Packers is the best fit. The Cowboys, they need to get an offensive lineman. The Chiefs, they need to get some help on defense. And the reason that those two teams will be great with as they've got good quarterbacks, just like the Packers do. If they don't draft wide receiver, they'll be fine. They'll get a wide receiver in the second round. I mean, Devontae, Jordy Nelson, all those guys were not first-round draft picks. Donald Driver, wasn't a first-round draft pick, and he's not Packers Hall of Fame, in future Hall of Fame in the NFL. I mean, these guys, the wide receivers, they develop, and they are going to kind of, grow as they get older. So it's really about the team needs, and I think Green Bay is in definite need of that, and I think that'd be the best fit because you can go in and you're going to play, and he's going to play anywhere he goes, but that role is there. You're getting drafted at this position, to be a high caliber guy, and these other teams they really need to fill some holes. We saw how many times Cowboys, they struggled on that offensive line. Their offensive line's been kind of weak, and so they really need to solidify that up and probably go after an offensive lineman.
Brad, there's going to be a handful of SEC players that come off the board tomorrow night. Jamison Williams, Nakobe Dean, Trayvon Walker, kind of the high-caliber guys, and no surprise to see them being associated with Alabama and Georgia football. Of the guys that Arkansas played this season, who do you think has the highest ceiling maybe in the National Football League and transitioning from the college to the NFL game?
It's such a hard question. I think the wide receivers, they got a good shot. The DBs, they always seem to, Alabama's put out DBs for years, LSU as well. And we know, the kind of difference makers that those guys can be. And when you can get on the field nonstop, and for those guys on defense, the ones that are on the field the most are going to make the highest impact. Yeah, your defensive lineman, your offensive lineman, those are huge guys, but they're not really, the guys that you're going to just pay attention to unless your family are closely related to them. Because people they lean towards the guys that are scoring or getting interceptions or making plays on defense. There's a handful of guys. We know what everybody in the SEC, with the cornerbacks from LSU, the wide receiver, like you talk about, the defensive linemen from Georgia. Those guys are all going to make a huge impact, and we've seen for years that how many SEC players have been drafted in the first and second round, and they've all made an impact. And that just shows, again, how big the conference is in the SEC and how much the NFL respects that power and the talent that the SEC provides.
Yeah, Brett, Evan Neal, offensive tackle at Alabama, nobody's really, that's not sexy, but a left tackle, he might be the first pick overall, and ahead of all the, the skill position. Now, I got a question. So you played how many years in Green Bay?
10 years.
10 years. How many times were you just miserable because of the weather? Was it 3 times a year, 4 times a year, once a year?
It was more than I can count on my hands and toes. I mean, you
still got your hands and toes. That's the good news, right?
You still got them, but the thing about it is we practiced outside. Every time it was cold and sleeting, we had a heated field. They'd go out there and they'd rake the snow off of it, turn the heaters on. We'd go out there and practice. So you're constantly in that cold weather, and it's just there's days that you don't want to be out there, and it's brutal because the wind's blowing so much. There was times where the quarterbacks and myself included, we couldn't snap, couldn't throw, kickers couldn't kick. We had times where we were outside practicing where the wind, the punters were kicking, 10-yard punt, and some of those punts were coming backwards, and they were hitting good balls. So it's just the weather is definitely crazy.
My point to asking that is Treylon going to be excited when Green Bay drafts him?
That's one of those things where that's the opportunity. I think you got to be excited because you're going to an organization that it is Titletown. It's a great team. The Super Bowl trophy is named after the coach there. I mean, everything is surrounded there is about a winning organization. They keep putting money into the facilities, and it keeps growing. And the fan support. I mean, we had on family nights, it was a sold out crowd. I mean, to watch us practice, 75,000 people just to watch practice, and we all know the waiting list. To be a season ticket holder. So if a guy gets drafted there, the weather, you learn to deal with it. You're going to go out there, and then you come back on the sideline, you got a jacket and a coat, and you sit on the on the heated bench.
Yeah, and the fans own the program. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes, the fans own the team. And
how does that work?
So the fans, you get shares, and then you vote on the president, which would be our acting owner. And then the president, or actually they vote on the board. The board votes on the president, and then the president kind of picks the GM, and all the personnel just kind of follows in line after that.
Well, that makes it the neatest franchise in the NFL, then, right?
Yeah, I think with the amount of money that they bring in, I don't think that people realize because there's not an owner, there's nobody knows exactly how much money the organization makes because Green Bay is also unique and they give back to the community. So they put in a whole deal beside it. Titletown, they brought in a Cola Resort. They've got a little deal outside there where you can, in the wintertime, they put out snow. If it's not enough snow, and you can go sledding. There's Titletown Brewery. I mean, there's everything that's right there on this hub, and it's all for the Packers. And across the street, when I was there, I'm sure that, with the housing market the way it is now, it's crazy. But there were $1 million homes that were maybe 1,800, 2,000 square foot homes that people sold for $1 million because they rented them for $3,000 to $5,000 a night just for tailgating.
Jeez, that's crazy.
See, we learned something, didn't we, Ty?
Yeah, no question. Brett, appreciate your time as always, man. You're part, again, of the Henderson Phillips Employer Solution Team, so you can help people out with a variety of things, employee benefits, health insurance, staffing management solutions, and your cell phone number. You're going to give it out, 479-651-2292, plus commercial and personal insurance needs. You can do it all, man.
Yeah, that's right. We can do it all, and this is a great time of year. Whether your anniversary is coming up soon, or even if you're looking forward to January, this is a great time to start getting some quotes on people and getting some people to start kind of competing against each other, so you can get the best rates.
Again, that's Brett Good, part of the Henderson Phillips Employer Solution team, and kind enough to give Clay and I more of a backstory on the Packers stuff. I'll tell you what, Brett, my dad has wanted to go to a Packers game for a while. We'll see what Arkansas's bye week shakes out to be on the 22nd of October. Maybe the Packers will be at home and we can make our way up to Lambeau that weekend.
Brett, I'm retired. Take me with you for a game, okay?
Hey, I think so. I think we need to, we got to get a bunch of tickets. That's the hard part is finding tickets for it. But
I only need one.
Traylon does get, exactly, and if he does get drafted, that just makes it every more reason to go up to Lambeau and be able to experience it, because it truly is an iconic stadium where, the football and the history behind, just the NFL, and to know everything, to go get to see it.
I can't wait. Well, Brett, again, appreciate it, buddy. We'll catch up in the fall, okay, man?
All right, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right, good stuff from Brett Good, as always.
BetOnline is your number one source for all your betting needs, sports info, and odds. Find all the latest sports developments, including this week's odds for the Masters Championship and the start of Major League Baseball season. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino and poker games. It's super easy to get started, so join today. Learn why everyone is saying BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on popular sports and games. BetOnline, where the game starts.